formats. We support PDF, PPT, all the open formats and the popular word formats. We have multi-device embedding, where we're saying that it's device independent and it's platform independent. And also we have multiple deployment options. What this means is that you can just take a solution, deploy it on your remote server, and it will just start working like magic. So coming, okay, come here. I'll get on the stage. You come here. You keep looking at that. So coming to the tech. So what are we basically doing here? The tech is pretty simple. It's very complex to implement, but the idea is very simple. So what we're doing is we're taking all of these documents in multiple formats and converting them to HTML.
But that's something we want to try it on other geographies, and we have seen one company do it very successfully. So our plan is to try it out in other geographies. In India, we haven't tried it out.
All right.
So let's say that if it's a white label software for them, right? So if you want to modify the changes, like okay, this product catalog alignment is not working, I want to commercialize, I want to change it on your platform.
Sure. The question is, the customer wants to tweak the look and feel of it, or tweak the syncing part of it. Let's say he has 5K catalog on the web backend, and he wants to expose only 2K to the. So what are the flexibility does the merchant have? So that's a very, very good question. So that's exactly where the dashboard comes into the picture. The dashboard allows the merchant to not just manage his brand identity, static content, but also the ability to expose what he wants to do and what he doesn't want to do.
Hi, I'm Sachin Gupta, the co-founder of HackerUp. Technical hiring is a lengthy and time-consuming process. The situation is so bad that in most of the cases, you have to interview 100 people to hire just 5. At the end, you end up with an inbox full of resumes and tons of unwanted interviews. According to the latest hiring statistics, more than 125,000 engineers were hired last year in the IT industry from a pool of more than 800,000. The corporates spent close to $50 million just on the filtering process. In certain cases, the lead time to convert a candidate to hire was up to 2 months. HackerUp is a SaaS product that allows you to conduct automated online skill assessment tests to quickly filter the right candidates. Simply put, we help you hire this guy without spending too many dollars. So how it works, you as a recruiter can automatically generate assessment tests, invite candidates, the candidates take up the online test, and you filter out the top ones with just a few clicks. To understand the efficiency of the process, let us look at the typical cost of filtering in a traditional recruiting process. You have one job position. On an average, you receive about 50 candidates, 50 resumes. The lead recruiter or senior recruiter spends close to 3 to 4 minutes on analyzing the resume. So that's about 4 hours spent in resume filtering. You shortlist about 15 candidates, and most of them go through the first technical screening in the form of online or remote interview. So that's another 15 hours, a total of 19 hours. Now, taking a modest cost of your developer's time to that of $100 per hour, you're spending $1,900 just in the filtering process. You can do the same with HackerUp with just $100. Some of the benefits of using an application like this is that you can test multiple candidates in one go. You minimize the logistic expenditure, and most importantly, cut down the time in your recruiting process. The features of an app, primary features of an application is the auto-generation of assessment tests, scalability, more than 1,000 candidates can take the test at the same time. You provide dedicated technical support, and there are inbuilt auto-proctoring features in the test environment. Use cases, the application can be used for lateral hiring, where you define the process in such a manner every candidate coming into a system has to go through these online tests. Campus hiring, where you can quickly turn it down on the best candidates using so that you can quickly conduct the technical interviews. And internal assessment, where you can assess your team, your employees for their on-job skills, so that you can take relevant decisions based on that. The business model, we have a standard subscription-based access model, which starts with a free plan and goes up to $1,000 per month for enterprise clients. We also have a customized content model, which is a pay-per-use model where we provide specific content to companies for testing specific niche skills. And we have specific engagement with channel partners. Channel partners are mostly in the form of recruiting agencies. We provide them end-to-end technical recruiting solution in their process flow. We have been in operation for the last 1 year, and we're working with more than 30 companies, including names like Mobi, Citrix, Semantic, Pearson, Perinet, and so on. The founding team are both alumni of IIT Roorkee, and we're a team of 6 people now. 3 developers, 1 engineer, and 2 sales and marketing. I'll quickly move on to the product demo through a small video. So this is the recruiter dashboard. Here's how you can create a test. Just select the name for the test and then select the option to automatically add questions. So this is a critical part of the application where we have support for multiple profiles. It could be a backend engineer, front-end engineer, C++ engineer, Java engineer, and so on. You select the profile and a test is automatically generated for it. Going forward, we're also planning to support more niche skills like, say, a cloud architect, a big data scientist, a Hadoop engineer. The idea is to make the process simple, very simple, and error-free for any, not even a technical recruiter can do it. So this is how these questions are automatically generated. Each of the question is completely customizable. In case of programming problems, you can select which language to choose. So the candidate is restricted to writing code in that particular language. Apart from automatically generating questions, we also have a feature where you can choose questions from library. We are building an exhaustive library of content, which is structured according to the difficulty level and the topics. So based on your requirement, you can select the question and then add it. Apart from automatically generating and picking from library, you can also write your own custom questions. That goes without saying. Once you create a test, you have to invite a candidate to take the test. The candidate sees the following test environment. The test environment is structured in such a way you see the question is on the left and the actual question on the right. Does not waste any time in doing the questions. In the programming problems, the candidate can submit a test, compile a test, so that they can compile it against the sample input and sample output, and they can submit the questions multiple times. The candidates write code in the browser itself. After the candidates take the test, you get your reports in the inbox, and you also get a dashboard where you can see detailed analytics. We are building a lot of knowledge on top of the data that we are collecting, so you can see insights of how candidates have performed over time, how your trends have been. This is how the report table looks like. Each candidate is sorted according to the score, and then we use time taken as a tiebreaker. This is a detailed report of each candidate.
Thank you.
Last question I'm going to only two. Okay, I'll take one from the back and one from the front. One from the back first.
Just one question. Hi. Do you also have an option to check the authenticity of the user who is writing tests, like with some option of live video tracking or the timestamp?
So we have certain measures for online proctoring. For instance, there can be only one login at a time from anywhere. Then we take snapshots of the candidate activity, not the screenshots, because if we rely too much on video, that could be a limitation in certain cases. But we take the activity snapshot of each candidate at certain time instances. We disable copy and paste so that you can know how and when the candidate was performing. The tool is basically an elimination tool. You want to eliminate the 90% of the candidates who are not performing. And then this data, this analysis that we do and this data that we collect can be used as a postmortem. It has, as far as our experience has been, the false positive rate has been only about 1 to 2%. So that's what we're doing.
How different is this from interview street?
No follow-up question.
How different is this from interview street?
So interview street, the product is more or less in the same domain, but we have been focusing a lot on content. Because it's not only a platform play, it's also how you define how to recruit a particular candidate. So that's why I said going forward we're trying to support profiles like big data scientists or Hadoop engineers or mobile application developers. So defining the entire process of how you assess them, not only in the first stage but also in further interviews. So that's where our custom content model comes in. We give them interview questions for different profiles.
All right, thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. I am Rajesh Menon. I'm the regional director of Pingar. Pingar is a New Zealand-based startup, and we are working with the concept called text analytics. So before I talk, I talk more about the company or I talk more about the product, let me just quickly just get into a small video. Let's see that, and we'll just come back. understood again. We are trying to do that. Finger is trying to do exactly the same. We are trying to give a due credit to our document. We are trying to ensure that a document is recognized by the virtue of it, by the content of it. We all know that, we all talk about metadata, right? Metadata is something like the date our document is, the created or the author who created it, or probably the title of the document. But what we are trying to do is we are trying to get into the content of the document and try to get the information of that document. So as I say, Finger is a platform agnostic software company from New Zealand. We are talking about two capabilities, which is classification and metadata extraction automatically from documents, discrete sources of document. I'm talking about unstructured documents. And then we are converting them into business intelligence. We are from Auckland. We are also operating out of different other regions. The concept that we are working on is called natural language processing and machine learning. You are seeing a collection of unstructured data sources here. Here we are seeing that we are all are talking about big data, right? Big data about around social media. We are talking about emails. We are talking about support tickets. We are talking about unnumbered what do you call it? Infinite number of data sources here, and we all know that there is a valuable information hidden in that, but yet we are struggling to extract information out of that. What if we could unlock the business value out of that? What if we could actually convert this information which is hidden into, let's say, e-discovery process, compliances, better organization, better search process? That is exactly what we are trying to do. So here is what Finger is introducing. We are introducing real metadata. We are introducing metadata from the content. Any kind of content that we are talking about, any kind of unstructured data that we are talking about. We are extracting topics, we are extracting entities such as people's name, organizations, location, keywords, special terms of interest, something like product, probably like product accounting or specific terms which is specific to the organization on the fly, and we tag them as metadata with the document or with the data source. With this real metadata, we are making the compliance and information governance pretty much possible in the best possible way. Addressing obligations in the record management system or the BPO business process oversight. In the sense, we are not in a position to manage the records in the best way possible without having the real metadata. Sensible metadata which is automated. We are also talking about relevance and the utility of search using this particular metadata, and also the information architecture initiatives using this real metadata. We have three product offerings. One is specifically for SharePoint, which is called as Finger Metadata Extractor, which is a perpetual license-based model where it's like a kind of deployed and start using on the go. And specifically for 2010 and 2013, there's a SaaS model which is for Office 365, the SharePoint Online services. We also have the API server on-premise as well as the cloud service, which is much beyond SharePoint Extractor, because here we are talking about social media analytics, we are talking about taxonomy management, here we are talking about document classification and categorization, etc. And the Finger taxonomy management comes with a suite of other range of products which is called Taxonomy Editor, the upcoming release of Taxonomy Generator, etc.
Time is up, by the way. So if you want to say anything, do it up.
Oh yeah, I think that's more about that's all about our product in general, and please visit finger.com, www.finger.com to know more about it, and I'll be pretty happy to answer the questions if you like. Thank you.
Question right in the back.
Can you share with us a specific business use case of your product?
There are multiples, in fact. One simple example which we can all relate to is the social media analytics, which I can talk about at this point of time. Here we are talking about analytics, social media analytics, software which are talking about positive, negative, neutral. But we don't have a real mechanism to understand what makes a tweet, say for example, positive or negative or neutral. So that's where Pinga comes in. Pinga works with other solutions in such a way that we power the metadata in such a way that the social media analytics solutions can be better inferred and better utilized for the end customer.
How it is different from authenticity of
I think we're just out of time. We'll just say the question for later.
Book pan. Thank you.
Hi everyone, it's great to be here. My name is Aditya and this is Niket. We run this company called Tech, and as a company we have this vision of making digital content more accessible to our customers. Today we're here to speak about something that we're trying to build which solves an interesting problem. But before we get to that, let's spend some time asking this question. So if you have to build an application where people upload documents and share it with their friends, and if you have to give out features like document previewing or document editing in your application, how do you do that? Well, a year ago, we were trying to build a similar application and face the problem of how we give out these features in our own app. And we tried solving the problem, and we figured out it was not an easy problem to solve. So we started talking to companies which faced a similar problem. So most of the companies that we talked to had a similar answer. They tried to build something, but they failed at it because the features are important, but the focus of their application is something different, and they ended up wasting a lot of time and effort. So we also observed that there are a lot of companies in these domains which face problems like productivity, cloud storage, conferencing, and e-learning space. So why is it difficult to build the features on their own? Because it's a complex and tedious process, and also requires technology domain expertise in this particular space. So I want Niket to explain the solution that we built.
Hello, I'm audible? Yeah. DocsFile is a set of easy to use APIs, so anyone can just take them and start using them. What this does is that it gives you instant document handling capabilities. So we support a wide range of formats. We support Doc, DocX, PPT, pretty much all the Word formats, all the open office formats. We also embed for multiple devices, so it's platform agnostic, operating system agnostic. And we also support multiple deployment options. So what this means is that you can take our entire solution, you can put it on a remote server and start accessing data from there. You don't have to get our cloud APIs. So what we can do is we can quickly go to a demo. We love live demos, so we're just showing you something. So this is our site, docsfile.com. You can just go there. We built a small demo to show the versatility of our APIs. You can just hit the upload button. You can choose any document in any format and hit upload. It quickly gets uploaded to our servers. We convert the document, convert to HTML5, show it on your screen. You can do a bunch of things after it gets converted. You can annotate, you can edit, I can underline, I can strike through, I can do a bunch of things on this. I can collaborate also. And we also build a couple of viewer features. You can zoom in, zoom out, and it helps you read your content. We can move to the other demo. This is the edit demo. You can just upload any file, just hit edit and start editing it on the fly. So I think we can move back to the So who will need it? So do you see what we have just done with it? Who will need it? So there are a lot of cloud search companies who have a lot of data, but then there's no way for them to visualize it. The other one is productivity applications, conferencing solutions, and e-learning domains. So these are the main broad verticals that we are targeting right now. So what does it do for you? So it helps you improve your user experience. It's definitely a very powerful product differentiator, and it definitely increases revenue. So I'll just give it to Aditya. Take it forward.
Yeah, so the business model is pretty simple. We get the documents converted, so we charge per document conversion. And also we have different tiers, so as the company grows in terms of the documents that we're getting, so we charge according to that. So the traction that we have, we've launched 3 weeks ago in beta. We have 4 customers already integrated with us. 10 are integrating this week, and we're aiming 50 customers by December. And if you look at the market that we have with engagement companies, these are the 3 factors that let us know if you're in the good market or not. So a lot of data getting on the cloud, definitely good thing. A lot of applications around this data are being developed, and also these applications are going towards using third-party APIs, which is also growing at 11.3% year on year.
The competitive advantage, this is where we stand. On your right, on your left hand side, you find products like Google Docs and Zoho Docs. These are end products. On the right hand side, you have DocsPad. So this is the technology. This goes into your product. This is an end product. So a lot of questions we have is like, you're doing the same thing as Google Docs, but no. Google Docs is an end product. That you can go into your product. As a team, we're a bunch of IT guys. We're very passionate about technology. In the past, I've worked with companies like Microsoft and Symantec. And Niket has worked with Amazon. We understand how the enterprise domain works, and we also have a good set of skills. I'm a designer by profession. Niket handles the complete technology, the backend. And thank you. You can always contact us at this email ID info@button, and please visit Docs.com.
I see about the content management company. Do you have to upload the docs into your server, or do you give an API where the app itself can convert it?
So I'll just repeat the question for everyone. The question is basically, there's cross use case, the synergy with content management systems. The question is, do I have to upload this content to our servers to view them? So the answer is yes and no, because we have both the solutions. We have cloud APIs and the local deployment. So if someone's finicky about the data, you can take a solution, deploy it on your local server, and hit our local APIs. If you're okay with your data going up to our servers, we have a cloud APIs also. Both options. No, this is only B2B. It's an enterprise solution. We're not giving, it's not for end customers to use.
So this is for a company who's playing in either cloud storage, e-learning, or conferencing, or productivity, or basically application developers or companies playing in these projects, or can be any vertical where a lot of their documents are being handled in their cloud or something.
And how do you price them?
Yeah, so we have two pricing models. So if you are using a cloud API, it's per API, per document cost. Every document we charge some amount for conversion. We have a 30-day trial period with 500 documents that you can try out. Whereas for the local deployment, because we have no internet connectivity there, it's basically it's a monthly annual subscription.
Okay, thank you.
One more company answer.
Hi, my name is Dave. I'm the CEO and co-founder of DoCircuits. So DoCircuits is basically the first ever circuit simulation on the cloud. DoCircuits was co-founded by myself and Kapil. We are both graduates of the IT system here in India, and between myself and Kapil, we have more than 25 years of experience in the electronic design automation industry with successful startup exits in this space. So what is DoCircuits all about? Okay. DoCircuits gives users a way to design and prototype electronic circuits, test and debug them all on the cloud. Let's quickly look at a demo of what DoCircuits is all about. So when users log into DoCircuits, they get a virtual breadboard where they can design and prototype their circuits first. So what I'm doing is basically trying to kind of break up a very small design, with resistors and diodes and test and measurement instruments, which is typically what you use to design circuits. You get them on, you connect them by wires, and each of these components are fairly interactive. For example, when you change a resistor, you get to see actual color code and stuff like that. You get to choose components that Texas Instruments builds, STMicroelectronics builds, analog devices built from the component library and use them. Then what you would do is basically go and run simulation on the cloud. So I'll just load up a little bit more complicated circuit. Let's say a power supply, which has transformers, etc. And when you run such a circuit that you prototype, if there are mistakes in your circuit, they will come up in simulation, and you'll be alerted. Once you fix them, you can go back, reiterate, design a new circuit, and run them. As I said, it runs on the cloud, and you have your results. You can go analyze your results. You can save your results on the cloud. You can save all the designs and the circuits that you store on the cloud. What we've also done is we've added layer of collaborations into it. So if there are multiple teams, let's say you have a design team at Houston, you have a debug team in LA, they can actually collaborate online just like Google Docs. So I can actually put my design, share it with somebody else, and I can share it publicly, I can share it in a private cloud, and this can then be shared as just an internet URL with any other team of designers or testers who may be using them. What we've also done is we have integrated instruments. We've partnered with companies like Tektronix to bring their test and measurement devices into simulation. So one of our key hypotheses is that most of hardware that is going to be designed or is being designed is all being done in software today. Okay? And similar is happening to test and measurement instruments. So we virtualize test and measurement instruments like it is in real life, and people would be able to use these test and measurement instruments in software and then go and directly connect them to hardware and take readings directly. So here are some examples of how you would do it. So here's an example of how you would work with a test and measurement as a measurement equipment, which is an oscilloscope. You'll be able to work with an oscilloscope, change its knobs, take measurements, just like you would do in real life. Let me go to the next slide. Yeah. So we are primarily targeting education and hobbies and enterprises with that. We've actually we started by focusing on education and hobbies. We are still building our enterprise version of our software. In hobbies and education, we've had great traction. We have more than 800 colleges all over the world using Blue Circuits for their labs. We have users in over 185 countries use our software, and we are growing 20% month on month on our user base. We've had tremendous growth on social media. We do a fair amount of engagement on the social media. In fact, we conducted the first ever circuit design contest online, and over more than 300 teams worldwide participated in that. We've incorporated algorithms on the back end which can scale up to 10,000 simultaneous users. Guys, remember, this is a very compute intensive and a very data intensive stuff. So for example, when you're working with hardware and you're gathering data at the rate of 20 megahertz, that means 20 megabytes per second samples are coming in. How do you work with such large data? When you simulate a large circuit, you are really simulating minute cycles of that circuit. How do you work with such large compute power? So we've been able to put algorithms which can scale up our system to more than 10,000 simultaneous users on the cloud.
All right, we are out of time.
So that's what Blue Circuits is all about. Any quick questions that you have?
I'll take one.
Yes, please.
Pricing and license.
Yeah. So the pricing is currently the education and the hobbies pricing goes at $3 and $4 a month. The enterprise, we started trials at about $999 a month.
Thank you. No?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Aditya. I'm the co-founder of EMA Solutions and here to represent First Type Platform. That's my co-founder Srikanth and Sanjay, who's our engineering head. Before I jump into the platform itself, I want to share a couple of thoughts just so that I show the context of what we do. We basically live and breathe the marketer's world, and just to give you a sense of the challenge that we're trying to solve. Any of us walk into a supermarket today, irrespective of how loyal you've been to a particular product. I mean, let's say I use a Gillette shave every month of my last 10-15 years. Gillette still doesn't know who I am when I go into a store. The retailer still doesn't know who I am. I might have 3 iPads at home, a MacBook at home, but Apple still doesn't know when I go into an iStore who I am. So this is a typical challenge that a marketer that the marketing industry itself has today. They have verticalized how they approach different channels. So they have offline teams, they have digital teams, they have some other teams, and these teams rarely talk to each other. And a lot of money is spent on a variety of activities in trying to do establish touch points with consumers, customers, partners on all of these different channels. But not always data gets captured here. And even if data gets captured, sometimes it's partial. And even if a lot of data gets captured, it's not at one place for the marketer to use. So that's, in a nutshell, what we are trying to solve. And that's where FirstEd comes in. It's in a broad sense, it's a full spectrum marketing value chain, marketing automation platform. We offer it to enterprises in a SaaS model. We modularized the whole thing so that enterprises can utilize components of the whole thing to meet their specific value chain objectives. And one of the learnings for us has been that enterprises love DIFM, that is do it for me. They don't necessarily always, the adoption for the DIY is lesser. And therefore the platform has been built to service enterprises both in a DIY manner as well as a DIFM mode. And that has led to some very, very interesting success for us in the last couple of years. We've done, like I said, our fundamental objective is to help the brand identify the user behind the transaction and not just get lost in the transactions itself. In that context, we've done over 70 million plus authorization generations over the system. We've done over 4.5 million transactions. We've supported over 1.1, 1.2 million unique users across various channels. Worked with about 200 odd enterprises, and we've been lucky that we have had the opportunity to service some of the largest enterprises globally and in India. And to that extent, it's been a fantastic experience for us building this platform. Like I said, the ecosystem for us is not just digital, not just offline. It's where the consumer touchpoints are getting generated for a brand. So a bunch of these channels where a consumer comes and connects with a brand, and what FirstEd does is it brings in all the data, all the touch point, all the metadata information from all of these things back into one single seamless command and control system for the marketer to leverage it and deploy. And we have built in a manner that different stakeholders in the enterprise have access to the information and it's not stuck in emails and inboxes and Excel files. So it's more actionable. The way the platform is structured, like I said, it's modularized. We've split it up across 4 product groups. There's Loyalty Next, which deals with all engagement of key partners, customers, channel partners, influencers, consumers. There is WorldSpike, which is a white labeling of e-commerce and rewards integration for enterprises. We have Omniscience, which is a multi-channel marketing tool, which allows for marketing automation. And there's Unique5. Those of you who were there yesterday and saw us as part of the payments track, you would have seen the Unique5 demo there, which is the authorization gateway. We have Aadhaar, but we have a bunch of other authorizations as well. So I will quickly show you a video. We didn't want to take a risk on the internet connection and all of that, so we shot a small video, but we'll rush through it. I know we've already taken some time. Yeah. This is so admin where you can do a variety of activities from here. You have the central configure for each of these platforms. You have the and we put in sample views as well, so we'll show a couple of them. And we have a central dashboard here, which gives you cross-program dashboards at one place, which means that as a CMO, you want to see what's happening across your enterprise by brand activities. You have a central dashboard, you know what's happening. You have your central user identification and all that stuff. So I'll quickly show you a couple of links and then we'll jump out of this. This is again the whole white labeled e-commerce central. It gives you an opportunity to configure end-to-end site deployment.
We have to unfortunately wrap it up.
Okay.
Yeah. Any questions for them? No? Okay. Thank you for that. So, if there are any questions you can maybe have for any of the companies which are presented, you can just have the entrepreneur there stand up and answer. So, we have a couple of minutes. After that, you're going to get kicked out of the call. smart moving, Satya can answer this. Tell us a little bit about how do you do sales outside the country? How do you actually close a sale? Because many of the cloud startups here are not only having customers in India, but also outside. How do you close a sale outside the country?
I think he's just there. Satya?
Yeah, maybe or over here. You're launching outside, so how do you here? The question here was, how do you close the sale outside the country for your company?
So basically, some of the
Speak
leads.
up.
So some of the leads that we are getting is primarily inbound, actually, but for the outbound one that goes via an inside sales call or something. So mostly, it's a agreement. It's a digital agreement that both parties sign off on a set of pricing and an SLA. Because especially in the SaaS, SLA is the most important thing. So don't know if that answers the question. I can go slightly in detail, but I would like to know if that answers the question.
Entirely close over the phone.
That's it.
Or email.
Exactly. Phone or email. No, nothing in person. Unless you really know the customer overall lifetime value is more than 100K in the next 2 years, or in a year he's contributing more than 100K in revenue. I think I'll definitely stick to phone and email. If the event happens and the customer is paying $500 and I got to see him, probably I'll skip the deal and move on to the next one, because this is SaaS world actually.
Thank you.